Oh, you're so sweet, I swear. Te mando un besito.
All right, we're on Disco Acid Cult TV. I was gonna say, Shay, how you been? But we've been sitting here talking for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's been a while, bro. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's definitely been months since I've had you on.
The one thing hasn't changed is Protomax is here instantly. He's like your best fan, bro. He really is. What's
Yeah,
up, Protomax?
Protomax is always first one in the chat. There have been a couple times throughout the last few streams, like Protomax, you couldn't make it because you had something going on. And it's funny, I sit during the intro and I wait for the let's go comment. And then when I like kind of will slowly, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're on. And I'm like waiting, and I'm like, okay, I guess he's busy tonight, and then I'll start rolling. But I always have to wait to see.
Yeah, he's dedicated right there.
Dude, it's fucking hot in my room. Before we start, and you can't hear, no one can hear. I've got a fan on. It's not, you can't hear it, right? Okay, cool. I don't want the fan to blow into my mic. Well, yeah, shit, we actually have topics tonight. We have a
Yeah,
whole list. You
some good
good?
ones. Some good ones, I think.
Yeah, the first one we got to start with that I have in the title, because it seems to be the thing that I can never stop talking about, is a Manson-related story. Patricia Krenwinkel being granted parole by the parole board. Like we were just talking about before this, I don't know. They're in the phase, like I said, they're in the phase where Gavin Newsom could deny it. And I'm always curious what Gavin Newsom thinks of these people, because you know, like I was saying, he's very inconsistent with, you know, Leslie Van Houten is now free. Bobby Beausoleil was told no. Now Patricia Krenwinkel's up. If he lets her go, this means that if you're a girl related to the Manson story, you have an easier time getting out. And if he tells her, no, you can't go, then this means that, because let's be real, because you're ugly, you're not going to get out. Because Leslie Van Houten was the prettiest girl and she got
Sure.
set free. So it's, yeah, I don't know. I'm always curious. And then I almost feel like Mike Theory is kind of that, yeah, because she's a girl, I think he's probably just going to let her go.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. It's funny though what you said about like the being attractive or not, because I feel like looks play such a big they're such a big factor in everything today in life, and probably the justice system is one of them as well. Like you see like a good looking girl gets pulled over, she gets out of the ticket. You know, the ugly fat girl gets pulled over, and she gets a ticket. Like it shouldn't be that way, but I just feel like looks play such a huge part, and I think this is a good example of that. Like you said, like Leslie Van Houten was like attractive in her heyday, and Patricia Krenwinkel is not good attractive. So I don't know how they're going to go about it. But like we talked about, I just don't think, like, listen, her crime's terrible. What they did was horrible. Eye for an eye. I always say that. But like when you're 77 years old, I think you've paid your debt to society. And, a 5 foot, whatever, 5'5" old woman, I don't think she poses any danger to the community. Again, she paid for her time. She put her debt, to society through time served. But it's like, I think we're kind of beating a dead horse here if you want to keep her in jail. It's just more resources that people have to pay for as well.
That is true. I do have to mention, we talked about being pretty in the justice system. I think the biggest example, fucking Casey Anthony.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
you can kill a baby, and if you're attractive enough, you might get let go.
fucking horrible.
The thing that's hard about the girls, I forgot to go to Protomax. Yeah, hell yeah. I would say Jim Shorts is the way to go,
Yeah,
actually.
either way, it doesn't matter, Protomax. But it's good to see you too, man. It's been I don't know, I had some stuff go on, so but yeah. Sorry. Good.
No, I was just saying, it's the part that's hard about deciding whether the girls get parole or not is that their involvement in actually committing physical violence during the crimes is like shady. It's a shady area. You know, I think in the official narrative, which is the Helter Skelter story that the court system goes off of, I think they tend to go along with the stories that obviously the court said. But the thing is, according to the Helter Skelter story, the story that the California court system goes off of, um, Leslie Van Houten stabbed one of the LaBiancas. I think there's something about she might have held one of them down while Tex was stabbing them, and then Tex said, "You need to get your hands dirty too." And so I think she claims that she stabbed one of them after they had already died or something, and she like repeatedly stabbed them. But like I said, she got set free. I don't think I know what the official narrative says about Patricia Krenwinkel's amount of violence. But yeah, to me, that's the hardest part about it is, at the end of the day, none of us were there those nights. I think all we really do know is that Tex did the heavy lifting. Tex was the main guy. And yeah, it's hard to say whether, because for all we know, Patricia Krenwinkel stood in the corner and cried the whole time.
So, do you though to note on what you just said? Do you have the ability to open what I sent you earlier on Instagram? Because this touches on what they think Patricia Krenwinkel's what she did, like specifically, and they're claiming that she was like laughing while she was stabbing them, like she was like chasing them down, like cracking up, like that she was like had a huge part in like the direct violence. I don't know how they know that. But if you read it, the thing I sent you, the one where it's like write a letter to Gavin Newsom, but if you scroll to left or right, it says in detail what they think she did. It's pretty interesting if you want to read it.
Yeah, I got it. It's from the Adoring Sharon. It's one of the Sharon Tate Instagram pages. I follow it too on my personal Instagram just because I love Sharon Tate. Yeah, during the Manson family attacks on Cielo Drive in the early hours of August 9th, 1969, Abigail Folger managed to escape the house after being tied up and terrorized. Wounded and terrified, she ran out onto the lawn in a desperate attempt to survive. Patricia Krenwinkel chased her down. When Krenwinkel caught up to her, she tackled Abigail to the ground and began stabbing her over and over. Folger, bleeding out. Okay, this is the I'm Already Dead story. White Zombie, one of my favorite songs by them, Real Solution #9. There's a sample, a loop of, that song is like an electronic song with a beat. And he samples, there's an interview with Patricia Krenwinkel that's like the most famous interview. And she talks about, she's like, and I could hear her say, "I'm already dead." And then the White Zombie song, he goes, "I'm already dead. I'm already dead." It's yeah, you got to listen to it after this. Okay, so yeah, so that would be the official story then. That's what they're going off of. That's how how I try to think about this stuff, because this is what, Gavin Newsom and the Parole Board are going off of.
But who
Part of
who
the
is the
reason
who is the one to testify that? Who's the one to explain? She admitted that, like you said in the interview, she admitted that.
in the interview, and keep in mind, this is like an interview in the 80s or 90s. When it comes to the court transcripts, I've never actually read the trial transcripts. There's a couple YouTube channels that in Facebook groups of people that I do follow, and they straight up go through the documents, the transcripts. The trial itself gets very confusing because Manson and the girls never presented a defense. Like when it came time for Manson, first of all, Manson and the girls being tried together. I can't remember if Manson was tried separately and then the three girls were tried together, if they were all tried together, but I know Manson did not get a defense. There's some weird thing about how when it came time for Manson's attorney to present his case, he said, "I rest." There was no defense presented for Manson. One of the things Nicholas Schreck tried to do, I think like in the 80s or 90s, was he tried to get a retrial. He was like, Manson got no defense. Like for some weird reason, he got some weird attorney. I'm getting kind of off topic, but part of goofy fucking Charles Manson shit, he wanted to represent himself, which is every American's right to do, but the judge told him no. The judge said, "No, you're way too insane to represent yourself," which is wrong. I would say, first of all, for the sake of our entertainment, I wish we would have got Attorney Manson, Ted Bundying it up in the courtroom. So then Manson said, "Well, then I want the worst attorney in Los Angeles." So they found him. His attorney was like this goober, this like chubby goober, this like not Hulk Hogan, but Hulk Hogan balding, like, the ring around the head guy with a beard who like had never won a case in his life. So the whole thing about that is weird. But yeah, Manson got
Why would he want that? Why would he want?
Because that was fucking
This is
Manson.
Charles Manson.
Yeah, he knew this shit was going to be on TV. That's Manson. He's just doing his thing. He's
He's a nut.
I think he probably knew he was fucked anyway. I think throughout all of that, he knew he was fucked anyways. Like, he's just like, dude, come on. I'm gonna live it up while I get the chance.
Yeah,
But
if he represented himself, that would have been the best spectacle, best court spectacle of all time. Because they'd ask him a question and he'd be like, nobody.
yeah.
With all the faces he makes.
Sir, are you guilty of these murders? We're all guilty. Yeah, no, but so yeah, so that would mean that, you know, the parole board and Newsom have to go off the official story. Part what I was starting to say is that part of the reason Manson really never could get paroled is to get paroled, you have to basically submit to the story that you've been convicted of. But Manson, as much as he never snitched, he never fessed up to, because you know he didn't commit the murders and he didn't tell them to go commit the murders, and the whole hippie cult leader thing was a lie. So he would go to the parole board and be like, no, this is all wrong. And right there, you can't get parole. Like, that's part of the reason Leslie Van Houten got paroled, is because she came in and said, yep, everything in the court was absolutely true. And Manson brainwashed me, blah, blah, blah. But, so yeah, so Newsom's going to have to look at this, you know, and say, okay, they granted her parole. They think she's learned her lesson. And then he's going to have to read about how, you know, she supposedly tackled Abigail Folger to the ground and stabbed her over and over again. And Folger said, I'm already dead. And then here we go. It goes again, undeterred. The next night, on August 10th, Patricia Krenwinkel joined other Manson family members in the home invasion and murder of Lino and Rosemary LaBianca. Once inside their home, Lino was tied up in the living room. Rosemary was forced into the bedroom and bound as well. Patricia Krenwinkel went after Rosemary. When Rosemary fought back, screaming for her husband, whom she could hear being murdered, Krenwinkel laughed, stabbing her repeatedly with a knife and carving fork. The carving fork, I know that part. Apparently the fork was like found sticking out of her neck or something. According to reports, Krenwinkel stabbed her in the back and legs, showing no mercy. After the murders, Krenwinkel helped smear words like death to pigs on the walls in the victim's blood. She also stabbed Lino's body post-mortem. Okay, that's the part where Tex tells Leslie Van Houten, I think you got to get your hands dirty. So they start stabbing Lino's dead body.
What a scene.
Oh, yeah.
And they're all high on meth. They all admitted they were all cranked out of their skull during this.
Did they? I thought only Tex and Susan Atkins were.
Oh, I thought they all were on it.
Well, so I know Tex and Susan Atkins were, and the word is that Manson did not allow drugs on the ranch. Manson was a big, you can smoke weed, you can do acid, you know, you can take mescaline, hallucinogens, spiritual, hippy dippy shit. But no one's doing meth. Manson was not cool with meth, was not cool with heroin, was not cool with cocaine. But Tex and Susan Atkins did admit to having methadone, their own little stash of methadone, which is like 1960s meth, basically, in the car. I kind of subscribe to the theory that every person has their own motive for doing these things. So I do believe Leslie Van Houten, she was dating, whatever you consider dating, to two people that are participating in gangbangs every night on this ranch and this commune. Leslie Van Houten was dating Bobby Beausoleil. So when Bobby Beausoleil goes to prison for the murder of Gary Hinman, I do think Leslie Van Houten went to these murders in order to basically enact what they call the copycat theory, which is where once Bobby Beausoleil got arrested, he went to prison for murdering Gary Hinman. The other people went out and committed these murders and tried to make the crime scene look like the one that Bobby Beausoleil left, so that the police would think, oh, we got the wrong guy. These murders are still happening. Let's let Bobby Beausoleil out of prison. Patricia Krenwinkel, her motive, I think, is one of the more mysterious ones. Like I said, I do think Nicholas Schreck has theorized something along the lines of she probably was very violent because she kind of had a chip on her shoulder her entire life, because she was not the best looking gal, you know, in that world, in the female world, you know, basically saying that she might have not had the life that she necessarily wanted because of, you know, how she looked or whatever. And I think that's what he's saying. I know he does say that he believes that she did commit a fair amount of actual violence on those nights, but I think that is the only really theory you can come up with for her. She's not really, I think she's definitely like the least popular of the three girls. You know, Susan Atkins is the most popular. She's dead. Leslie Van Houten would be the second most popular. Well, Squeaky Lynette Fromey is probably the most popular, but she's a kind of a separate case from all three of them. It's weird. It's weird how all of them are together, but then when it comes to their punishments, they're all over the place. Like I said, Leslie Van Houten's free. Susan Atkins died in prison. Lynette Fromey is free after trying to assassinate the president. Like 34 years in prison for assassinating or attempted assassination of Gerald Ford is crazy to me.
Yeah, like you were touching on, which I forgot that even happened. She goes and the whole thing, goes down where she tries to the assassination attempt, and then she gets arrested, and she does less time than the others. I mean, that's the one of the that'll put you away for life. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, I remember when we were kids, we used to talk about how it's illegal to even say the sentence, "I'm going to kill the president." Like that's like I said, the gun wasn't loaded, but who cares? I don't know if that factors into her time. And then the fact that she escapes from prison for like I think like 2 days, or it was like a couple hours or whatever. It just says she was recaptured 2 miles from the prison on Christmas Day after a massive search. But yeah, the fact that she
And what was her motive for that?
Oh my god, this is when you get into like the crazy.
I mean, why would you even do that? I mean,
So her life post Manson is like so much crazier than her life with Manson, I think. She was an environmentalist. She didn't like Gerald Ford's environmental plans, and she thought that showing up. What she says in an interview is that she just wanted to talk to him, but she knew that Gerald Ford would never listen to her because she's a nobody. So she thinks, well, if I show up with a gun, he'll hear me out.
It's fucking crazy, dude.
So she wanted to tell him to be nice to the trees. So I'll bring a gun. I'll talk to Gerald Ford.
And Manson had nothing to do with that fucking loony idea.
Yeah, no, Manson was in prison. Manson was, Manson's big thing is environmentalism. I always joke and say that Manson is a better environmentalist, a better representative than Greta Thunberg, whatever the fuck that little girl's name is.
Yeah.
The whole at-wall movement was Manson's thing. But, I think that was just kind of a thing of that time. So maybe even if Manson never came along, maybe she would have been an environmentalist anyways. That's how they all were. But yeah, that's her whole motive, or her story for the motive, is that she wanted to talk to Gerald Ford about the environment. And so I'll bring a gun because he won't listen to me if I don't have a gun.
Imagine being Manson in prison for all this insanity that's going on in the country, and then you see headlines, former Manson fucking commune, girl gets, arrested for attempting. Like, imagine that whole time period's insane, dude.
And she's like if there was going to be like Manson, like fan fiction, how like anime nerds will make their own fan fiction, and if there was like a Manson fan base and they were going to make fan fiction, Manson and Lynette Fromm would be, like I said, the end game. Manson talks about her the most, he refers to her as my old lady in all of his interviews. Nicholas Schreck said Manson was, being friends with this guy sounds crazy interesting. Nicholas Schreck talks about how he's like, yeah, Manson was my friend. I would never trust him with my car keys. He would say the worst, like most cruel, evil things to you if he was ever mad at you. There's a story about like one time Nicholas Schreck, Manson, and a third friend of theirs were on a 3-way phone call. Manson's in prison. This was like the 80s or 90s. And Nicholas Schreck's phone drops out, and hangs up. So Manson thinks Nicholas Schreck has hung up on him. And immediately Manson starts going, that motherfucker hangs up on me. He's fucking with me. And Nicholas Schreck said, no, my phone didn't hang up. It just kind of cut out, but he could still hear him. And then he said he got back on the call and said, hey, Charlie, just to let you know, I heard everything you said about me. And Manson just kind of goes, oh, So basically, so Manson could be the nicest guy in the world, but he would say terrible things about you. But apparently no one's ever heard him say a bad word about Lynette Fromm. Like, that is the one girl that has always been kind of like the closest to him. So yeah, imagine being in prison and hearing like, hey, this girl tried to shoot the president, and being like, oh, that's my old lady. Like, and then the best part is that when she breaks out of prison in 1987, she breaks out with the intention of going to Manson's prison to get him. Like part of her condition for her being set free when she got paroled in 2009 was that she was not allowed any contact with Manson at all whatsoever. And apparently she honored that. There's an interview with her as recent as I think within the last 10 years. She's a real old lady, kind of chubbier, chunkier, got still, old red hair. She's an old lady. And they asked her, do you still love Manson? And she said, oh yeah, I don't think you ever fall out of love. So
That's
even,
crazy, dude.
yeah,
Talk about a kind of like spell you put over somebody. Like after all that, and you still say that. Like, I wonder, like what you said, what she's doing now. Like, she's just chilling. It's just, like, I wonder what she's doing now. Like, I mean, it's just crazy to me. Like,
what's funny is, I gotta find the guy's name just because it's gonna drive me crazy. George. Oh my God, it's gonna kill me. It's gonna kill me. Actually, no, I can find it. Who wrote the book Goodbye, Helter Skelter? So, Sandra Good was basically, I think, the closest girl um to Lynette Fromm, right? George Stimson, thank God, George Stimson. George Stimson, who is very close to Sandra Good, I think, to this day. I think they live together. I'm not entirely sure, but he's done a couple interviews with this YouTube channel that I watch, and I think it was made by Lynette Fromm. It's very funny. They're basically old people now. What's funny is they remind me of my great grandparents and like my great aunts and uncles and my grandparents' brothers around Christmas time when my family used to have the annual Christmas party. We'd all show up and like my aunt Linda would have a new blanket that she crocheted, and it's just like old white people stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, look at that blanket! It's so beautiful." George Stimson in this interview pulls out this vest, and it's apparently this vest that was hand knitted or hand sewn by Lynette Fromm, and it's just this nice little vest with a bunch of scene like pictures on it that she sewed in, hand stitched and everything. And so she's an old lady hand stitching vests and crocheting things now. Like that's what it sounds like. She's probably sitting in a rocking chair right now. She's probably asleep right now. It's probably past her bedtime. A couple of years ago, she tried to kill the president, and now she's just crocheting blankets and knitting vests and stuff.
how weird life is.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I don't know. So yeah, it's I guess the Patricia Krenwinkel thing. Yeah, who knows? Honestly, who knows?
Interesting to
I
see.
I always figured Gavin Newsom would just never let any of them out, just because you don't want to be known as the government or the governor that
Well,
lets the Manson people out.
what else can tarnish his name at this point in his fucking career? Really, he'd probably get a round of applause by his fucking nutcase followers.
Yeah, dude, it's funny how like I said, yeah, they're all over the place. Bobby Beausoleil just got denied. Like Gavin Newsom himself said no, which I guess, like I said, the difference between a man and a woman in their older age is a lot different. You could argue that maybe Bobby Beausoleil is still dangerous, but he only killed one person. That was the first murder that sets off the string. He's a very unknown character. I almost feel like that's why he didn't let Bobby Beausoleil go, because he's an unknown character. So it's just kind of a like an under the rug kind of deal. Most people don't know the name Bobby Beausoleil, so he just said, no, fuck him, keep him there. But when it comes to the girls, it's more public. More people know who these girls are.
Yeah, I mean, it could go both ways. He might not want to even have that on his political record, or he's such a nut job that maybe he wants to be looked at as this forgiving, let's give somebody a chance, they're reformed type deal. Because his whole thing is like no punishment for
Yeah,
crimes. I mean, California, I mean, no offense, is a fucking, not all of it. Like you said, you're in a different area, but LA and Hollywood is like a war zone, and he
yeah.
doesn't care. He laughs about it. So like maybe he's gonna look at it as a way to be super liberal, like, oh hey, let's give her a chance. I mean, here we are both saying that like she's harmless, so maybe he's gonna think the same thing. I don't know.
One of the things when Leslie Van Houten first got out, some of us in the Facebook groups, we were joking about, we think eventually she's going to do a documentary or podcast or something. So Leslie Van Houten, when she was a teenager, she got pregnant and her parents forced her to have an abortion in the backyard, where they buried the baby in the backyard.
Oh, jeez.
One of the lies of the story is that these girls were like totally normal, middle class cheerleaders and normal girls. They were all completely fucked up girls since their childhood years. Like Susan
Oh.
Atkins was abandoned by every adult in her life. Leslie Van Houten was forced to have an abortion in the backyard. Like, they try to sell you the story that Manson brainwashed these completely normal people. No, they were fucked up people to begin with, and that's how they ended up in this situation.
They
But
were already damaged. Yeah.
So a lot of people were theorizing that Leslie Van Houten's probably going to make like a 2025 feminist documentary about how big, mean, manly Charles Manson controlled me and manipulated me, and I had an abortion and I'm a strong woman. And so we're all waiting for that to see if that happens, because that would be hilarious if Leslie Van Houten basically had like a Casey Anthony comeback. I mean, Casey Anthony's comeback has not been what she wants it to be, but Leslie Van Houten might be able to pull it off because abortion is big right now, and men being dicks to women is a thing right now. So she could come out and be like, "Yeah, Manson did everything."
I'm surprised she hasn't already done it, and I wouldn't be surprised if Patricia Krenwinkel does something similar because, dude, that case is one of the most famous cases in American history, and it will always be relevant. People will always be interested in it. So I wouldn't be surprised if either one of them did something like that, either on the abortion topic or not, or just Charles Manson himself on that whole thing. Who knows? I would watch it.
Oh yeah, I'd check it out. One of the worst parts, I guess, after this I'll probably change topics. One of the worst parts about knowing so much stuff, if Leslie Van Houten started an OnlyFans, I would pay triple digits. I would
That's
pay
fun.
triple digits, even at this age,
Even at this age,
just to
dude,
have a picture.
she young her young self, she was gorgeous, dude. Like she really
Yeah,
was.
she was a total fox. It's crazy. Thinking about pretty girls doing stuff like that is fucking crazy.
I think it's funny because before I even knew who you were personally, I followed Disco Acid Cult, and you would post the Manson stuff, and I was like, oh, what I would do for one night with Leslie Van Houten.
Oh,
You just like liked the comment. I was like, it was funny.
dude, yeah, she was a babe. She is definitely the prettiest of the girls. I do think Lynette Fromm is pretty in most cases. Of course, like I said, with all of them, there are pictures where they don't look so great. Susan Atkins has pictures where she looks kind of pretty, but then you see other pictures and you're like, oh, she has a mustache. Like I don't know about this.
Yeah, she's scary looking. The black eyes, dude.
Yeah, yeah, she definitely has something wrong with her. Like I said, not as much as people think. I don't think she was that violent. I think she made a lot of things up. I think she was, like I said, a modern day or an old day version of an edge lord. She wanted people to think she was cool, but yeah, Leslie Van Houten was the most conventionally attractive. And yeah, I guess to finish it off, if Patricia Krenwinkel doesn't get let out, I think that's straight up just going to be like, well, she's ugly. And Leslie Van Houten is pretty, so we let her out, and Patricia Krenwinkel is scary looking, so we're not gonna let her out. Like, that's what else does it come down to? They both committed the same crime together.
Yeah, and some of them lesser crimes than others, and then one pays the price longer. It's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, I know it's crazy. And then, actually, I guess the one last note, of course, the most obvious, Tex Watson. Hopefully, he should die in prison. I think we're all comfortable saying that.
Right.
Tex Watson will never get out, and that's fine. Um, all right, well, here's our hard segue. Now we're gonna talk about Taylor Swift.
From Manson to Taylor Swift, you just never know with this show where you're gonna turn up to. Turn up on the
Fizz,
next topic.
Fizz, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this because we're gonna talk. We're gonna. It sucks. I have to admit, I'm gonna talk trash about Taylor Swift here, but I love her music. My thing with Taylor Swift is I love her music. I love her lyrics. I've loved her since 2008. To get as gay as possible here, I think she's a fucking magical lyricist. Her lyrics just somehow make me think about very obscure winter nights in like 2011 with some girl that I made out with one time. Taylor Swift can make me fall in love with anybody, but she's beautiful. I love her, but her as a person sounds awful. Her business practices sound awful. Okay, so here and what I want to get into a little bit more too is I guess like her fan base, which we'll get into the greater story of like facts on the internet, like how like specifically with politics, how I say kids don't really care about facts anymore. It's more just about who says what and who they like. Okay, so here we go. So we really have to start from the beginning. Taylor Swift's music career basically starts with she's a kid and she wants to become a singer. So she was born to a dad who was a multimillionaire, like a very multimillionaire rich father. I think he was like a stockbroker, an attorney, some kind of finance dude type of thing. And she becomes a teenager. She says, I want to be a singer. And not going to knock her dad. If I had a daughter and I had the money to do this, 100%. He buys an ownership stake in a record label, Big Machine Records, right? it's funny, people say Taylor Swift, she's a self-made dude. Her dad bought a fucking record label to sign her. Like, okay, so her dad buys part of this record label and moves the family to Nashville. They moved the family to Nashville, Tennessee, and he purchases part of Big Machine Records in order to help boost her music career. She signs to Big Machine Records. She does her country albums, and she moves over to her pop albums. Then at some point in her career, she moves record labels, which means Big Machine Records, keeps your music. That's how things work, and that'll come into play pretty soon. And so once she moves record labels, this guy named Scooter Braun, who is, I think he's like Justin Bieber's manager. He's also a big deal in the music industry. He buys Big Machine Records. I don't know if he buys Big Machine Records or if he buys some of the music from it, but he buys Taylor Swift's discography. He buys all of her music. So then Taylor Swift comes out on the internet and starts crying about this big mean man stole my music from me. He bought my music right out from under my nose. I never had a chance. I had no idea what was going on. Okay, your dad was part owner of that record label. So you're not going to convince me that her dad had no idea that this was, like you can Google this, like her dad was most likely involved in the sale of her music. So I don't believe that her dad didn't tell her, hey, daughter, just to let you know, I'm going to sell your fucking music to this guy. So Taylor Swift, yeah, she runs this whole narrative that she's this poor defenseless girl and this guy took all her music. It gets so bad that Scooter Braun and his kids have to go into hiding because his teenage kids are getting death threats on the internet from all of her crazy fans saying like, you
Taylor's fucking Swift.
Yeah, all the teenage
Why does she care? Why does she care though as an artist? Like, is it because like it's ownership to her? Like, you're so fucking rich. Why do you give a fuck?
So this is kind of part of it that I always say is that even aside from her dad owning the record label, right? Like put all that aside, that's how the music business works, and that's how it's always worked. When you sign to a major label record deal, they turn you into a multi-million-dollar famous rock star, and they own your music. That's how it's always worked. People don't usually own their own music. Motley Crue is one of the rare exceptions. Like they were one of the first bands to do it and brag about it. They purchased all their old music back from their label. It's very rare that any artist signed to a major label record deal owns their own masters, which is, like the master recordings of their music.
Led Zeppelin too. I think they own their own, then just sold it to Sony.
Yeah, and they made a shit ton of money, so it is possible, but it is very rare. Now, now that Taylor Swift is as big as she is, she could probably work out any deal she wants with any label, but back then, she was big, but not as big as she is today. So for her to get on the internet and cry about this, it's like, yeah, that's how the music business works. Like I said, even aside from her dad owning part of her label, like even if we put all that aside, yeah, exactly. It's almost unheard of for only like Motley Crue and Led Zeppelin, and I know Michael Jackson got into purchasing music. There was that phase where he owned the Beatles music for a while. It was kind of funny, but so yeah, so then like I said, so that's when you ever see all the stuff about her re-recording her albums, the Taylor's versions of the albums. She basically threw such a big fit about this that she found this loophole, basically, that you can re-record all of your old music and then sign, you can own that music. So that's when she started re-recording all of these old albums and making millions of dollars off of these albums, because now you got all these teenage girls that are fighting the patriarchy by listening to the Taylor Swift's new versions of the songs. Well, just a couple days ago, she posted that she now owns her music again. Scooter Braun ended up selling her music to some other label or something, and then Taylor bought it. Apparently, the price tag was $360 million she spent, right? Poor Taylor Swift, but she's got $360 million to just blow on some old music, which, and the thing that's funny is, it's not like she stopped making money off the old music. Like, even though somebody owns your own old music, you still make money from that. So it's not like she was losing out on any money. She just wanted to cry about, a man buying her music that apparently she wanted to own. I don't know. The whole thing was bizarre to me. And the bizarre thing is that all of the stuff is Googleable. It's a very quick Google search to see that her dad, owned like 3% of her record label, and that's how she got signed, and that's how the sale happened. But you still have all these girls on Twitter and Instagram being like, yeah, fuck Scooter Braun. I'm so glad Taylor Swift owns her music now. She got it back from that big bad man. And it's like, dude, facts just don't matter anymore. Nobody cares. Like, it's just Taylor says this thing, so I'm just going to go with that.
That's how stupid people are. They'll let an artist define their opinion in life, and their, anything they say is gospel. It's pretty fucking pathetic,
Yeah,
honestly. I
yeah.
can't stand Taylor Swift music. I can't stand her. I can't stand the people, like, this is nothing towards you, but I can't stand the country's obsession with her. There's so many better female artists in the world that they're just fucking better, and better at being as a musician, better people. Like, I don't know, it's just weird to me.
Real quick, Fizz, tell your son we said right on. That's good stuff. Graduating high school is
Congratulations.
that is the first thing that any young person should do is graduate high school.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's good to hear. But yeah, it's. I know I'm usually alone. Like in my friend group, I'm the only one that likes Taylor Swift.
I'm so surprised.
For me, it started in 2008. I saw the music video for Love Story on CMT on TV one morning and was like, this is everything I think about my girlfriend. I was like, I was a freshman in high school, and I was like, literally, I had my girlfriend that I ended up dating for like off and on throughout all 4 years of high school. Saw the Love Story video, and it's like, oh, it's like Romeo and Juliet. That's me and my girlfriend. Like, and then ever since then, I was just obsessed. And she had great crossover appeal. The MySpace neon pop kids know this. Back when I was listening to bands like Forever the Sickest Kids and All Time Low and Never Shout Never and The Ready Set, right? Taylor Swift was, yes, she was kind of a country artist, but she was a pop artist the whole time. Country music today is just pop music with a little bit of twang in it. And so she had great crossover appeal with the music that I like. She even did that song, Two is Better Than One with Boys Like Girls. So yeah, I just always liked her. I liked her. A lot of people think the ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend music is cheesy, but that's right. I love songs.
I'll say
Songs like
that's right up your alley.
So I always liked that stuff. And then going to CSUS on the honors program for okay, right on. Hell yeah, sounds like your kid's doing well. What's up, Andy? We're talking about Taylor Swift. I know that's your favorite. So yeah, it is super bizarre. This whole kind of narrative that she spun about how, this big mean guy bought my music, when even though, like I said, that's the most normal thing in the music business is to not own your own music. And then everybody just goes along with it. All these teenage girls just go along with it. They're just like, oh yeah, she's totally right. She should own her music. Why? Says who? Who owns their music besides the 3 artists that Fizz named up here and Motley Crue and Led Zeppelin?
They can't think for themselves. It's fucking pathetic. Today's generation can't think for themselves at all.
Yeah, no, they can't. And they can't even. The bizarre thing to me is, like I said, this is all so easily Googleable. Like, just look up the story. Like, you can Google, did Taylor Swift's dad own her record label? In the first thing, there's even like a whole AI generated, like, yes, he owns 3% of it, which means he was probably involved in the sale to Scooter Braun. So let's be real, he probably called his daughter and said, hey, we're going to sell your music. So for her, and she flat out came out and said, I had no idea. They blindsided me. They stole my music from me. And it's like, it's just weird. It's just fucking weird. And everybody believes it and goes along with it. And it's like, I just think it's bizarre. And like I said, to this day, just the other day on Twitter, there's all these girls just going like, yeah, fuck Scooter Braun. Like, bro, he's a businessman who made a business decision. He bought some music and made some money off of it.
You like a fucking skinny white girl who wouldn't give you the time of day for an autograph if she met you in person, but you're fucking fighting for her poor rights of her music that she's losing, $300 million of her $1 billion fortune. Give me a fucking break, dude.
Yeah. And then, like I said, even though she doesn't own the music, you still make money off of it. Like, you still have royalties and, license. It's not like you just don't make any money. You think Led Zeppelin's they just sold their music. You think they're not making any money now off their music? No, of course they're making money off the music. Every time it gets played on the radio and put into a show, it makes money. Like,
and not just that. Think of registered merchandise. All these girls paying $30 for a washed out T-shirt that says Taylor Swift on it. That they get money for all that merchandise. Advertising, videos, fucking everything, dude. Everything. It's I don't feel sorry for her. I think we should put Patricia Krenwinkel. We should bring her out and put Taylor Swift in jail. That's
Protomax, the thing that's funny, yeah, so her re-releasing all of her old music, I'll be honest, I still listen to even when she was saying, listen to my music and help fight the patriarchy, I support that was my joke, was I listen to the old Taylor Swift songs because I support the patriarchy. But I didn't like the re-recordings. You know, she did a good job singing like she used to sing. You couldn't really tell with her voice, but I just like the production of the originals. But what's funny now is that now she's basically just got another, you know, however many hundreds of millions of dollars from teenage girls for basically re-releasing the same old albums. Like, it's kind of genius in a really shady way. Like, she's now gotten millions and millions and millions of dollars just for re-recording some old song. She basically recycled old music and made hundreds of millions off of it. You know, and
Bananas.
that's on top of she's known for, like, it's very shady the way she releases an album and then will release like 4 different editions of the same album. They each have 1 or 2 different songs on them. And what happens is people buy this up so much that it takes up like 5 different spots on the Billboard top 10. That's like why she does it. So she releases a new album and then she'll release a special edition and then a super special edition and then a special edition. And the one difference is like 2 or 3 songs, you know, and they'll take up fucking 10 spots on the top, you know, Billboard. So she just eats up the charts and she makes a shit ton of money. It's like, it's genius, but it's all very shady. And so it's funny that she, you know, has this kind of narrative that she's this like poor defenseless chick in the music industry when it's like, dude, you're a ruthless, shady fucking businesswoman is what she is.
They all are in Hollywood. They all are. Bonnie Blue.
Okay, yeah, we got to get to the fun one. So have you heard what Bonnie Blue plans to do?
No, fill me in. So all I know about her is she did the world's biggest gangbang, and she's like this just mega whore. I have just nothing to say about this girl, like morally, ethically. Like there's levels of like depravity you can go to. Number one, doing porn kind of throws you out there as kind of fucked up. But to do the world's biggest gangbang, you've taken it to another level of scumbaggery. You know what I mean? Like, if I was like her father, I would be like disowning her. Like, it's just disgusting at this point.
Yeah, Fizz has it right here. She banged 1,000 dude,
That's
1,000,
fucking ridiculous.
1,057 to be exact.
There's
So we,
nothing there's nothing hot about that, even as a man seeing that. There's nothing that is attractive about that. But play the video.
it's only 15 seconds. Tell me if you can hear this.
15th of June, I'm going to be tied up in a glass box and open to the public. You can choose to either get involved or just walk around, watch, enjoy the show. But yeah, the website is back up and working, so if you want to get involved, then please do.
So hold on, let me.
So wait,
To the public.
she's gonna there's got to be some kind of vetting process for STDs.
That's, yeah, I would imagine so. The tweet says Bonnie Blue brags. It's weird. She announced 2 plans. I don't know if they're the same plan. She has plans to now sleep with 2,000 men in one day and be tied up in a glass box open to the public. So I don't know if she's going to be in the box while 2,000 guys come up and fuck her, or if these are 2 separate plans. She's going to do 2,000 guys one day and then the box the other day. That's why I made the joke. She's
I
doing
think
this
it sounds
thing.
like two separate things. Why can't, like, if you're gonna be if you're gonna choose this path in life and you're gonna do porn, you can make enough money doing just conventional porn. Why do you got to go above and beyond to do this insanity? And then here's the thing: they do the 2,000 man gangbang, and then they have a kid later in life, and someone's going to actually put a ring on that. And she's going to say, "Oh, I retired from porn, and that's not me anymore." After she makes her, $1 million, I have no sympathy for these women. They're just like they do this shit.
We do have to answer Proto Max's question.
Last line. Last line. Last in line.
You're the last in line. Yeah, I
I
don't
ain't
think I'm.
fighting no gorilla. At least I'll be alive.
So, yeah, it's funny, Fizz. I was making that joke too. She's doing the Harry Houdini, except escaping from the box. She's having dudes fuck her in the box. I could have just let dudes fuck me and not do escape tricks, Harry Houdini from killing the crate.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm literally imagining her like in some position in a glass box where there's a glory hole, and the glory hole is right there at her hole, and then like this is what I'm imagining, and so I like I said, I think they're two different plans. I'm not sure. There obviously has to be a vetting process. Like you can't just walk up and be a nobody on the on the sidewalk. First of all, where are they going to put this box? Is there no law against being naked in a glass box in public, letting dudes walk up and fuck you? It's got to be like
What's
in
in
her
the
house.
box? What's in the box? It's just
Get
Bonnie Blue.
Brad Pitt on the case.
But she's beautiful. Why would you fucking do this? Like, she's a gorgeous woman, and you're doing this. Like, you're labeled now forever as just this disgusting human.
I've heard a theory about her and Lily Phillips, the other girl that does stuff like this now. I've heard a theory that some people think they're suicidal. Like some people are like, this is like a weird form of like they're trying to hurt themselves.
I bet you they have some kind of they have some kind of sexual abuse in their life when they were kids or something, because nobody does this kind of normal shit and has a good upbringing. I don't care what you say. There's something mentally wrong with you.
It is a good point. Yep, Protomax, she is in England. So that event is happening in London. And, I think the laws there might be more relaxed.
Proto Max all of a sudden is wearing a top hat and a monocle. Fucking, oh, she's in England, you say? He would be the first one there to fuck her, though. He'd be, how he's always the first one here. He'd be the first one there.
He'd be like, let's go.
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
So, yeah, I think that's actually an interesting point that you brought up. There's no way this is just for money, because OnlyFans girls can make millions in their bedroom finger banging themselves. Like you don't need to do this to make money. It's
brutal.
And
you don't know, like, how are they going to go through? I know that when you do porn, you have to go through the vetting process for STDs, and I'm assuming she's not stupid enough to let people do that, without knowing who their STD status. But how are you even going to take that chance? They get tested, and then you got to wait 6 months for a HIV test. So, like, I wouldn't even trust the validity of the test. You're still taking a chance.
Yeah, I don't know what their vetting process is.
Fucking weird.
I try to do Fizz, yeah, I think you're thinking of Lily Phillips. She's the other girl that's also from England, and it's funny, Lily Phillips first announced she's going to do 1,000 guys in one day. And then like a couple days later, Bonnie Blue came out and announced, I just did 1,000 guys in one day. Like she kind of stole the thunder from Lily Phillips. And
fucking crazy.
The thing that's funny is that Lily Phillips actually somehow still looks kind of sweet and pretty and innocent. Bonnie Blue looks like she's had the life fucked out of her. Like she's only
pretty now. She's very pretty.
She's very pretty, but she looks soulless. Like she's only in her 20s, and she looks like she's in her 30s.
Oh, I didn't know she was only in her 20s. I would have said 38.
Yeah. Like I said, yeah, she is very pretty, but she looks old and weathered.
Up to England for Bonnie Blue. Protomax. Hello, mate. It's me, Protomax. Which hole can I fuck you in?
Yeah, it is super weird, because it's like, dude, there's other ways. Like, dude, write some music, record an album, really,
fucking learn an actual skilled trade. Like, I don't know, maybe go fucking to school for I don't know, engineering or something honorable. Like you're banging 2,000 dudes.
That is the crazy thing. Lily Phillips, they did a documentary on her. She did 100 guys in one day, and on camera, after that happened, she was crying about how it's sad. And
how are you feeling bad for her, though?
Well, I don't think people are feeling bad for her, but it's weird that it's like, it was a very strange moment of like actual truth, where it's like, this is what happens when you fuck 100 dudes in a day. You're crying.
What did she think was going to happen? If Rainbow was going to shoot out of her ass and she was going to be like, wee.
But now what's funny is that now she goes on the Whatever podcast and talks about how much she loves
26.
this.
She's younger than me, and well, I don't know how old you are. She's like older. She's younger than me.
Yeah, no, Bonnie Blue's younger than me. Yeah, no, Bonnie Blue's in her 20s.
She was 40. Yeah, wait till. Yeah, there's got to be something. I would pay for a psychologist to diagnose her and sit her down and talk to her. You know what I mean?
I wonder if it's narcissism, some kind of narcissism along with exhibitionism. There's like exhibitionists out there. Like there are girls that just like dudes to see them doing stuff.
Right. But a lot of those girls that have those weird kink fetishes have been abused in their past.
Yeah.
In the past.
Yeah.
It looks like my 55-year-old girlfriend's neck. Oh man.
It's funny. There was a video, Riley Reid, another one of these famous gals. She did a podcast with Bonnie Blue, and they played a game of Fuck, Marry, Kill. And of course, they're the way they are. So Donald Trump was one of them. And Bonnie Blue made some comments. She's like, I don't want to kiss Trump because he would turn my face orange. And everyone's like, your face is already orange. Look,
Yeah, it looks like she's wearing so much makeup.
yeah. Narcissism. That's the vote from Fizz. Yeah, it's got to be some kind of, because it's like, like I'm saying, dude, like learn how to play guitar, like write some music, record an album.
Go to college. If you can focus this much on this type of shit, you can do probably anything you put your mind to. If you could fuck 2,000 guys, you could get through college and do some kind of hard work.
Yeah, but I mean, even without the college, she's already famous now. Like, here's the thing: she's famous now, whether we like it or not. She is famous. And yeah, Proto Max, of course she's hot. That's the thing. All these girls are hot. That's what's sad. All these girls are very pretty, If these girls weren't doing what, like, if Riley Reid wasn't, who she was, and I ran into her at the grocery store, I'd be like calling my friends, be like, dude, look at this fucking girl. And so that's kind of what's sad. I'm a simp in the way that, like, I don't give girls money. I don't spend money on OnlyFans, but I'm a simp in the sense that I legitimately believe that, like, girls are like works of art. Like, God really sat down and was like, I'm going to make, guys are ugly. Let's be real. No guy looks good. Not even because I'm not gay, but like guys, never once have I seen a guy like in any form that I'm like, oh, that's a good looking dude, except for Jared Leto. Jared Leto is the one guy in the world that I will say that's the best looking fucking dude in the world. Guys like in his 50s, looks like he's in his like late 20s. It's ridiculous. That guy's got to be doing some kind of black magic. I don't care. He's got to be drinking blood. I don't know what it is. But guys are ugly. You see a dude, shirtless, naked, whatever, watch porn videos. Like, there's never been a dude that I'm just like, damn, that's a real good looking. But girls, it's like, oh, that is a piece of art. Like, God sat down with a paintbrush and crafted this fucking perfect thing. So that's the way that I'm a simp. I was going to talk about this tomorrow when I do the live stream of ranking Sydney Sweeney pictures. Fizz, that's tomorrow. We're going to be ranking like 85 pictures of Sydney Sweeney. We're doing a tier list. Sydney Sweeney is like a masterpiece. Like, God really sat down with a blueprint and painted this thing.
I wouldn't call it being a simp at all. I just call it you being, or I'm the same way. I would call it us being just realistic, because women are beautiful, dude. Like, the curves to them, everything, their facial features are just totally different than, like you said, men are ugly as shit, dude. Like, we're all just like almost primitive looking when you compare it to them. They look like a work of art. I wouldn't even call it being a simp. I would just call it being like, you could appreciate them for sure.
Fizz, I've seen that video. Somebody requests from I can't remember. Was it Bonnie Blue? Somebody sent in a special video request saying, I want a video of your dad saying he's proud of you or something.
She probably has no dad in her life. That's the problem.
Fizz. Well, yeah, there are a lot of girls that are. The makeup thing is weird. I think I've talked about this before. I never realized how much girls transform their face without makeup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here we go. It's probably a record. I made it 53 minutes into the stream before I brought up my ex-girlfriend. Calamity Jane was with her for 5 years. Always talk about her. She was very pretty without makeup. Like, actually just naturally pretty. For most of our relationship, she never wore makeup. And I just kind of, so I didn't really think about this. This is just, that's just my girlfriend. I'm not thinking about whether she's wearing makeup or not. I would notice when she would do her makeup for like date nights and stuff, like whatever. But when she put her makeup on, of course, I'm very biased. When I say she's a 10, I'm also including her personality, because I knew her and we got along well. And so I always used to say, dude, she goes from a 10 to a 10 when she puts on makeup. Like, it's just not a big deal to me. Well, then after we break up, I hooked up with this girl that I met in rehab. And I only ever saw her with makeup on. And one time we were texting and she told me she was doing something and she would send me a picture, but she doesn't have her makeup on. And I was like, I don't give a fuck. And she's like, well, I don't have my eyebrows on. It's like, what do you mean you don't have her? What are you talking about?
You're awesome, Mom.
Yeah. So she has no eyebrows, like just kind of naturally has no eyebrows. And she told me this and she's like, I'm insecure about it. I don't like people seeing me without my makeup on because my eyebrows. And I went and I looked at her Instagram and I'm like, holy shit, her eyebrows are drawn on. Like,
how did you not notice that?
I'm very unobservant somehow. I've dated girls for months, couldn't tell you what color their eyes are, you know? I could
Right.
tell you the size of their yeah, like, I don't wanna say I'm unobservant, but, little things like that. Like, I don't know the heights of most like, I can kinda tell you with my hand, but I can't be like, "Oh, 5'9", or, with certain features I don't really pay attention to. And yeah, I never noticed her eyebrows were drawn on. But, after that, I started noticing, like, on the internet when I was looking at girls, I'm like, "Oh, fuck, girls wear a shit ton of makeup." And then I remember seeing some girls on that I was friends with on Facebook when they post pictures without makeup, and I'm like, "Oh, she's ugly." Like, so I took the makeup thing totally for granted for the longest
Oh,
time.
she's ugly.
Yeah.
You look like Patricia Krenwinkel. Oh my god.
I took the makeup thing for granted just because I dated a girl that was pretty without makeup and, like, just thought I was like, "Oh, all girls are just pretty without makeup. I guess that's just how it is." But nope, that's not how it
What
is.
and what about the fucking today with the filters, dude? The filters should be illegal. The face filters.
Yeah, it depends on the filter. I'm fine with, like, lighting filters or whatever,
No,
but
I'm talking about the ones that are drastically different. Like these women, like have like pock marks all over their face, but they put the filter on. They like fucking, you know.
dude.
Oh, she's ugly.
But yeah, no, the girls and makeup and filters. How did we get on this? Oh, because Fizz talked about how all these porn stars would be ugly without makeup. That's why you gotta find videos where they take a lot of load on the face because it clears the makeup off, and then you get an
What?
actual look at them.
I don't think Bonnie Blue's gonna have that problem. Fuck.
Oh my god, dude, the thing is, like, yeah, a lot of these girls are really pretty, so it's a bummer that they do this stuff. So here was kind of where I was getting at when I was saying I'm gonna do a hard turn on this topic, though. And I think I'm gonna answer myself before I even stop talking. So right now we're talking about how what Bonnie Blue's doing is terrible, no morals, pure debauchery. I was sitting in the Rayleigh's parking lot yesterday, and then I was like, well, wait a minute, but I love Motley Crue. And Motley Crue probably all banged well over 2,000 girls, like, in one short period of time, too. It's like, so how do I square that away that when Bonnie Blue does it, I don't like it, but when Motley Crue does it, I like it. So then I thought, well, some feminist 19-year-old on the internet would tell me it's because I'm sexist and I think it's okay when guys do it, not when girls do it. But then I was like, no, that's not true. You know what it is it's the art, right? Motley Crue actually makes art. Whether you like it or not is a whole different story. But they have a catalog of art. They're artists, they're musicians. It's part of the character, the sex. It's not but like we said earlier with Bonnie Blue, the sex is the only thing she does. There's no contribution in any other form. She's not an artist. She just locks herself up in a glass box and lets dudes fuck her.
And you're forgetting they're not banging 2,000 women at one time. At one time.
Yeah. But I will say, if Tommy Lee did bang 2,000 girls at one time, I would say rock and roll, brother. But he would do that after playing a kick-ass 1.5-hour rock and roll show that would, mesmerize people. That's the difference.
Yeah, I just think apples and oranges, like they're rock stars. It comes with the territory. Like you said, they're giving something to society. They're giving some kind of artwork. What is she giving? You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
is there a way you could look up like Bonnie Blue's, like what does Bonnie Blue's family think about what she's doing? I wonder if there's any articles about like what her parents think, or if they're even in the picture. There's got to be now that she's so famous.
So, I don't think there's anything about her parents. Okay, wait. Oh, never mind. I knew Lily Phillips claims that her father manages her finances.
Oh, that's so weird. That's so
Bonnie Blue,
fucking weird.
if you Google it, it says Bonnie Blue is an OnlyFans creator, and her parents, Sarah, and her father. Notice we get the name for the mom, but not for the dad. Sarah and her father are very supportive of her career choice. Bonnie Blue's
What?
mother, Sarah, has been actively involved in assisting her, including helping with her Freshers Week tour of UK university. Oh yeah, she's been on tour lately. I don't know what she's doing on tour. Um, she's been touring universities in the UK and even tidying up after her filming session. So
Oh,
her mom is cleaning the cum off the couch
oh.
after.
These people are fucking disgusting. You
So
want to talk
yeah,
about people that should be doing 40 something years in jail? Her parents. We're talking about people that deserve to be in jail. No, you're promoting your daughter doing this kind of shit. You're fucking disgusting. I don't care. Anybody on here that's listening to this that disagrees, that is fucking putrid, dude.
Yeah,
Putrid.
that is where I will say, if I had a daughter, it'd be one of those hard calls where you got to say, I can't talk to you. Riley Reid's parents don't talk to her. Riley Reid has talked about this. She said, it's
Ugh.
actually kind of a cool, honest moment from Riley Reid. She was doing an interview and she said, look, like a lot of girls think they want to do this. Here's the deal. I don't talk to my parents. My dad has told me he doesn't want to be seen in public with me. My parents do not talk to me.
Your mom
Obviously
is a
she,
lover.
honestly, if she's cleaning off the bus stains off the couch, I wouldn't be
Ugh.
surprised if she's fluffing on top of it.
Right.
So her parents are probably just delinquents too. Her dad's probably a pussy. Like I said, you notice how we got a name for the mom, but not the dad. Her dad's probably a pussy. The mom probably runs the show. They probably get money. Bonnie Boo probably gives them money. Lana Rhodes is, no, when you say mid appearance wise, no, Lana Rhodes is gorgeous, but Lana Rhodes is one of the biggest girls to do the whole, she does porn and then cries about it afterwards. This is going to become a trend.
They make their money first. That they make all this fucking money, and then they want to be like, oh, they want to get married and start a normal life. No, dude. No.
So what's the girl's name? Mia Khalifa did it first, and then Lana Rhodes has also done it now. They do porn, they become famous, they make millions of dollars, and then they come back around and they start crying about how men manipulated them into making porn. Men lied to me, men tricked me into doing it. I didn't want to do it. Dude, there's a video of Lana Rhodes shoving 12 rubber duckies up her ass. Okay. There's a video of Lana Rhodes drinking a bowl of piss. A guy pisses in a bowl and she drinks it. No one forced her to do anything. I've seen these videos. No one forced her to put 12 rubber ducks up her ass. I don't even know how that's possible to force someone to put 12 rubber ducks up their ass. She farted them back out. I've seen it with my own eyes. Okay. Now she comes around on the internet and talks about how evil. Dude, think about 10 to 20 years from now, we're going to get like an onslaught of OnlyFans girls claiming that men forced them to do this. And there's a girl that I talked to on the Disco Acid Instagram. She does not watch the live streams, thank God, because I have a crush on her, but she's retarded. I've literally seen her post about how so many girls only do OnlyFans because men lied to them and told them that it was empowering. And I'm like, no, that's not why girls do OnlyFans. Like, let's stop. But in 10 to 20 years, all these millionaire OnlyFans girls are going to start giving interviews about how they were taken advantage of and how men fucked them over and lied to them and how it's all men's fault and how, this or that. Lana Rhodes is one of the biggest ones to do that. And today she looks scary as fuck. Lana Rhodes looks like she's going to die of starvation tomorrow. She's definitely got an eating disorder. She's on drugs or
Let
something.
me see a picture of her.
Today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
So you want hot Lana Rhodes? Let me see if I can find a picture of her with clothes on.
Yeah, it's harder to find that than it is.
There we go. I'll turn the blur on for the inappropriate pictures. Let me pull one of these up. Can you see that?
Yeah, she's pretty hot.
She's a basic white girl.
Yeah.
Brunette.
No, yeah, she's a basic white chick.
Here's her now. That's a blurry picture, but you can kind of see she's getting
She
real.
fucking bound. Is it?
Yeah, so this is the thing. This is another thing that a lot of these girls do is what they do is they quit doing like traditional porn. So they quit going, they quit signing contract with Bang Bros and Dog Fart and the actual companies that produce, but then they just make their own OnlyFans. It's like, okay, so you're still doing porn. Like, porn is porn. Like, it's Riley Reid still has an OnlyFans, I'm pretty sure, where you can buy pictures of her naked. It's like she's
Unreal.
married and has a kid too now. But just because you're not drinking piss on camera,
I'm just still. I can't wrap my head around the mother promoting the daughter's gangbang and the dad being like, "Yeah, she's doing something real good with her life." Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, it is.
I get up for work at 5 o'clock every day to to a job that I work 80, 90 to 100 hours a week. That's no exaggeration. And these girls are out, their parents are promoting them doing gangbangs, and they're all making millions of dollars. There's something wrong with this world. This world, excuse me.
Yeah, no, it's this is where I start turning around and I start blaming dudes. And the reason I blame guys is because I'm a guy. So it's like my way of, I'm like how in
They're
the
paying
Bible, right?
for it. They're
In the
paying for it.
Bible, right in the Bible, they say take the log of wood out of your own eyes before you try to get the speck of wood out of your brother's eyes. So before I tell girls, hey, quit doing this shit, I like to point to guys and say, hey, quit spending money on this shit. Like quit.
Right.
There's an OnlyFans girl last year that made like over $40 million in 1 year. One of her followers gave her like $5 million throughout the year. Like stop doing this. Go get addicted to fentanyl like a real man. Go drink yourself to death like a real man.
The problem is this, dude. You got kids dying of cancer all over the world, and that could use this money, dude. Donate $1 million of your $5 million simp fund. Do something good with it. There's kids dying of cancer. Do something good with your money. Instead, you're spending $5 million on an OnlyFans girl. Get a fucking life, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like everyone says, you can see this shit for free. What's embarrassing is the reason they do the OnlyFans thing is because, the girls will message them, but it's very well known now that it's not even the girls messaging
Yeah,
back.
some AI bullshit, probably.
Well, it's a team. They just hire dudes so you're talking to a dude that she's paying, like that she's got on payroll.
It's
So
pathetic. Guys are so pathetic. Like you said, if there wasn't a market for this shit, it wouldn't exist. It's you know what? You're right. It's men's fault. It actually it's guys that pay for it's fault. Because if there was no market for it, it wouldn't even exist. It
Yep.
bothers me because it's like, how stupid can men be? I don't know if you're on Facebook or not, but on Facebook, you'll be like on a motorcycle group, and it'll be like one random model chick. She'll be like, guys, my DMs are open. And all these guys are like, oh, you're so good looking, sweetie. Like, it's not even a real account. It's some Nigerian prince about to take your fucking social security number. And they're like, oh, sweetie pie, message me, baby. It's a Harley Davidson group, dude. And you think this girl's in here to ride with you? Fuck out of here.
Dude, so really quick, speaking of, I'm glad you brought this up. Me and Protom actually talked about this the other day. Speaking of guys responding to girls on the internet, did you hear Vince Neil broke up with his girlfriend, his longtime
Yes.
girlfriend?
Vince Neil, yes.
So super recently, let me see if I can actually find the tweet. Within the last few days, it is right here on April 30th, this OnlyFans girl named Emma Scott, she tweeted a picture of herself where she has one tit out of her shirt and she's putting her hand over her tit. And she tweeted this and posted, whoever likes this and says hi, I'll send you a nude in your DMs. And who should respond publicly to this tweet but Vince Neil saying, hi, babe.
Oh my God. What did it? It was the real Vince Neil.
Yes.
He's so ridiculous.
So people were like, bro, Vince, what are you doing? In my mind, what I'm thinking is, this is the modern day version. Vince in 1987 goes to the strip club and says, hi, babe, to a stripper. But in 2025, Vince Neil tweets to an OnlyFans girl and says, hi, babe. So,
And the difference is, Vince Neil in his prime could get any woman he wanted.
In his prime is the key
in
word.
In his prime, dude. Women were fucking throwing themselves at Motley Crue, dude.
Vince Neil is one of those guys, like I said earlier. Today, Jared Leto is the only good-looking man in the world. I will say, prime Vince Neil, when he had the good abs and everything, he was a good-looking dude. The way that guy moved on stage, that guy, Jesus Christ. Some of those guys, dude, like Bret Michaels in the prime days of Poison.
Fuck, man.
Definitely not CC DeVille. Just because he did look, you're right, he looked like someone's drunk aunt at a Christmas party.
Yeah, he looked like the old guys I used to work with. All their wives look like 80s hair metal band. I mean, like, dude, what's it like to, your wife looks like Mick Mars. Fuck. Bobby Dahl
up on the side talked about how she hired a team of people and the team took over her account. She was post picture. No, it's very well known that OnlyFans girls just hire teams. That's what all people do. That's like in my dream, if I have a bunch of subscribers on YouTube, I'd hire a team to sit here on the computer and and I just sit and talk basically. So it's funny that guys pay for this still. knowing, like it's very commonly known
Fuck.
that when you message an OnlyFans girl, you're talking to a dude who she's just paying.
I'm gonna grab a water real quick.
I know you're good. Lead singer of Warrant. Yeah, dude, all those guys in the 80s. I mean, you can't lie. They knew what they were doing, right? Just somehow every guy that picked up a guitar and sang in one of the hair metal bands was just like one of the best looking dudes in the world. I don't know how this happens, but yeah, they were all good looking dudes. Those are a few of the guys that I will say are good looking dudes. But Vince Neil publicly tweeting back to an OnlyFans girl.
Hey,
It's like,
babe.
it's like, bro, Vince, just DM her. That's the funniest part. It's like, bro, Vince, just get her number. Like, call her. Like, you're Vince Neil, dude. I'm sure you can find a way to call her. Like, you don't need to publicly do this. But just hi, babe. That's his last tweet on May 26th.
Did you see the girl? Go ahead.
It's also funny. I forgot to say that when she tweeted this, she said deleting in 12 hours. But whoever likes this and says hi, Vince Neil 1 month later tweets her and says hi, babe.
Did you see the girl she was dating this like child actor? He was really ugly. And then she's dating Shaggy or whatever the fucking ICP guy now. Did you look up ICP girlfriend? She's an OnlyFans girl. She bounces around from like has been famous person to has been famous person. This is a prime example of a girl just trying to ride the coattails of someone who used to be famous.
Is it Sarah Rusi?
Put a picture up if you can.
Let me see.
She's good looking.
Is she a blonde gal? Oh yeah, I think this is the right one. She's with Violent J. It looks like.
Yeah, Violent J. That's the fat one, right? The fat guy. Yes. So she was dating some fucking child actor who was really ugly before him, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's with him for his money." I mean, look at the two of them. I don't know. I just kind of on the same topic of, OnlyFans girl.
Yeah, she's a total babe.
Type in Sarah Rusi past boyfriend, please.
All right, let me.
I love that you can pull that up. That's great because it adds visuals to it.
Past boyfriend.
The short, fat guy. He was like a child actor.
Mason Reese.
Yes. It's fucking look at that shit. Tell me that ain't for his fucking money.
Oh. Oh dear God.
And he goes,
this guy. She was. This guy looks like a cartoon character. What was he in fucking Willy Wonka?
No.
Dude, he was in a movie called Duncan Munchkins. Oh, dude, she's a gold digger.
But dude, he goes, no, she's with me for my he goes, she's with me for my looks. She's with me because I could fuck her. I could fuck. Dude, there's a video of her riding on his electric scooter because he's so fat.
Oh my God. The thing about being a rich guy is that I think it'd be like a flex to be like, yeah, she's with me for my money. Like, dude, if I was like 50 and like I had a 25-year-old bodacious babe and I was rich, and if people are like, she's with you for your money, I'd be like, yeah, what girl's with you for your fucking money, you loser?
So it's funny you say that. There was a Snapchat like reel, and it was about this guy. He's a famous picture framer. That's what he does. He frames like artwork all over the world, and these women are with him for his his money. And he goes, "I'm gonna read these first." Although he's like, "Dwarf so white." Oh man. It's like a villager.
Like a Final Fantasy character.
Oh man.
And even Gerard Pardue. Oh, I gotta pull up a picture of Gerard. Tell your story while I look up Gerard Pardue too.
So the guy's like, everybody knows that they're with him for his money, and he's like, dude, yeah, he's like, I'm 70 years old, but he's like, these women give me their youth, and I give them a couple dollars. He's like, what's worse, taking their youth or my money? He's basically saying like, yeah, they're giving up their youth to him, and whatever. I don't fucking know. It's just kind of like,
it makes sense.
It's a scary looking. Is that the guy who played Penguin?
No. I don't think so. That other guy does look like a fat cartoon version of this guy. That is for sure, though.
Why has he got his nose look like a penis? Right there.
It kind of does. It looks like he got punched in it. No, it's huge right here too. Yeah, I don't know. This guy's got a funny nose. He looks like even in his younger days, he got a huge nose.
What do you think? It went away?
I think it just kept growing.
Oh, that's funny. I had a good laugh there. Fucking, what's this guy, Willy Wonka? He was in the Drunken Munchkins. Dunkin' Munchkins.
And no, when you look like that and you got a hot girl, just be like, yeah, dude, I worked hard. I made a
Oh,
shit
he
ton of
was
money.
like, he got a defensive about it. She left him for Violent J.
Yeah. No, I'd be like, dude, I worked hard. I made a lot of money. Now I get pretty girls. That's that's how it goes.
I wish you saw the video of her riding on his scooter. They go like shopping, and he's just so fat. She just sits on his stomach, and he fucking
Oh,
drives the
God.
scooter.
Well, it's like that girl, Proto Max would know this, that girl that wears the ridiculous fake eyelashes that dated Dave Bluntz or got with Dave Bluntz for a little bit. It's like, bro, this guy's like 500 pounds. Like, there's no way
Whatever
you're with
happened to
him.
that guy? You love that guy.
I do like his music. He makes
Okay,
good
good.
simp music. It's yeah, dude, girls get with guys for money and clout. Like, it just happens. I think it's fine, I think guys
Serrano,
also
the Burger Rack. What the fuck?
I think guys also get with girls for that sometimes when they can. Look at like Kevin Federline and Britney Spears. If I was a rich old guy, I'd want to date a girl like fucking 25, 26, 27.
Oh,
I've
yeah,
heard
I'm
this.
not saying I wouldn't do it, but just admit it. Like you said, admit it. Like, be
Yeah,
like, yeah, the fucking,
I've heard this rule that the youngest you're supposed to date. There's a rule that I've heard, and I think it kind of makes sense. The rule is you're supposed to take your age, cut it in half, and add 7. So like I'm 31, cut that in half, 16, add 7, 23.
We both were like,
So the youngest I could date according to the rule is 23, which, yeah, that sounds about right. If
yeah,
you're 50, you cut it in half, 25, you get to what, 32?
yeah. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, fucking.
I'm gonna get off here soon. I'm feeling the yawns coming in. Whew.
Right on.
Stupid California time.
One last topic.
Yeah.
We're on the last topic anyways.
Yeah.
Just earlier this week or last weekend, I heard about this theory. It's called the stuck culture theory. And it's this idea that culturally we are stuck. So kind of one of the best examples they say is if you took a guy, just a random guy, plucked him out of the street from 1975, and you dropped him in 1985, he would look like a fucking alien. The kids would be making fun of him. They'd be saying, "You look like my dad." If you take a guy from today and you drop him back in like 2007, people probably aren't going to look at him too different. He might have stupid hair, might get one of those kids with the broccoli hair or something, but that's really it. So the idea is that we haven't really evolved too much. When you think about the different decades, right? Like you go from 50s to 60s to 70s to 80s to 90s, they're completely different. The 50s is like, black and white. The 60s, you get to the hippies and the Manson stuff. The 70s, you get to the Eagles and Leonard Skinner. And then to me, the craziest one is 70s to 80s. You go from like Leonard Skinner to like new wave and like guys, Flock of Seagulls hair in the cars. Then you go to, Kurt Cobain in, the Seattle alternative era. And that leads into, even in the early 2000s, goes into like Limp Bizkit and Britney Spears. But then really after like 2007-ish, it just, everything kind of, there are some things here and there. There's this article on some website called Lindy Newsletter. And this person basically says, even in some forms of technology, the first iPhone came out in 2007, and we all still have a touchscreen rectangle today. That's always been the same. This person talks about how when it comes to music, old songs now represent 70% of the US music market. The new music market is actually shrinking. All the growth in the market is coming from old songs. The current list of most downloaded tracks on iTunes is filled with names of bands from the last century. Companies are picking up rights from artists like Fleetwood Mac, Neil Young, Bob Dylan, David Bowie, etc., John Lennon, Dire Straits. And they make a shit because they'd rather buy that stuff than new stuff because they make a shit ton of money. This person says maybe algorithms have something to do with it now that everything is kind of dictated by an algorithm. Algorithms don't create anything new. They just take all this old stuff and kind of move it around and spit it back out at you. Whereas back in the day, you had artists that wanted to make new stuff. So yeah, it's an interesting theory, especially when they put it that way. When they're like, yeah, you take a guy from 75, put him in 85, that's a whole different world.
And
Take
they
a
were
guy,
only 10 years apart. Like,
yeah, exactly.
like the best example you just made was the 70s to the 80s. I mean, perfect. If you want to look at it in movie terms, look at Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first one. And then look at the second chance, just Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like the one was filled with fucking, 70s bell bottoms and shit. And the
Yeah,
one in the 80s was so like almost disgustingly new wave, like
a kid with the
bebop
phone,
fucking yeah,
the
dude. It
car
was
phone.
so
Yeah,
different. Like that's a perfect example of it in popular culture. But every generation had something that defined them, and I think that was great. We stopped because nothing defines us in this fucking Generation X bullshit. There's nothing creative, dude. They're remaking movies from the 70s because they ran out of ideas.
I was gonna say it's funny you went to movies because at the beginning of this article, there's a part where it says it's hard not to notice the epidemic of sequels coming out of Hollywood for the past 15 years. It's
Right.
almost like every other movie is some sort of prequel or sequel. I remember the superhero movie genre starting in the early 2000s, and it was a pleasant surprise. Then it kept going and going and going. We're still in it. This article came out in 2020. It says it's 2020. In 2016, half of the top 50 movies released were a remake or a sequel, representing a 312% increase since 2000. So, since 2000, the amount of requels, sequels, prequels, remakes shot up 312%, basically.
Now,
So,
is it good?
I was just saying, so basically, even like creatively, it seems like people are stuck. Like, there's just not.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, is there? Do you think it's people that the creative mind has just became like dull at this point? Do you think that people are becoming more stupid and just they don't have the creative mind that they did back in the day? Or I don't know. What do you think it is? Because
Well, when it comes to movies specifically, like Hollywood, because I'm a movie nerd, I think that answer is actually just money. It's the studios just became selfish because dude, there are a million writers and directors out there that have new ideas. The horror world is still kind of good at doing this. I just saw Bring Her Back, this new horror movie that came out the other day. Completely original, a pretty good horror movie. It was just two guys. I think they made that movie Talk to Me that came out last year that I didn't see, but they're new, you know. And so there are directors and writers out there who want to do new stuff and are trying to do new things, but the Hollywood studios just don't want to take a chance on it. They don't want to give them any money. They'd rather just give some guy $100 million to make a new Batman movie, make a new Spider-Man movie because they know that's what's going to sell. What it really is they only want to do stuff that's like existing intellectual property. So like that's why we're getting new Harry Potter, and they want to keep making Star Wars because those have a built-in fan base. Whereas if I write a movie with just some, guy that no one's ever heard of, they're going to be like, well, no one knows who this is. We're kind of taking a gamble. But that's the point of art. You got to take a gamble on it. If it's a new thing, And the thing that's funny about the Hollywood studios is it's like, bro, just give this new guy $1 million. Just give him $1 million. That's all you got to give him. You're giving Quentin Tarantino like $100 million to make a movie, which I like Quentin Tarantino, but you got plenty of guys out there. You give them $1 million. That is nothing in the world of Hollywood. Give them $1 million and they could at least bring you in $7 million back.
a fizzy leg. I don't know if I'm saying your name right, but you're right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say Generation X. I guess I said that. What's the generation we're in now? Is what I meant.
Aren't we in beta right now? Or are we
Whatever the
still
hell it is now. I didn't mean to say
alpha?
Generation X. You're right. I meant today's generation. Nothing defines us. I didn't mean Generation X.
I think millennials are the worst, and I'm a millennial. I'm on the tail end of millennial, and millennial I think is one of the worst generations of all time.
Mhm.
Millennials are just like lazy. I'm lazy, but millennials are lazy. um, millennials aren't creative. I don't think. I think a lot of this started with millennials. What Fizz ill gig? I just say Fizz.
Fizzle gig.
Gen Z. Yeah. So I'm 31. So like I said, I'm tail, and I was born in '93, so I am right at the cutoff of millennial to Gen
Right. But
Z.
so millennial is the trash generation. Is what I was trying to say. Nothing defines us, dude. It's fucking bullshit.
Yeah,
I
and
sit here and watch. I'll sit here and watch The Shining, fucking all the Stanley Kubrick movies, all the fucking David Lynch movies. Like I will stay in that era, and I love that era. I wish I was born in that time period. And everything now just sucks, dude.
Yeah, there's not a lot of new stuff coming out. I sometimes also think that maybe just, like, so much stuff has been made, like, especially when it comes to music, like, it's just
It's
like
already been covered.
yeah, like, every chord progression has been done, Kurt Cobain wrote up all the good riffs when it comes to power chords, Jimmy Page wrote all the good solos, it's just like, what else can anybody really do? Which bums me
Ah,
out as a
I
rock and roll
guess.
fan.
I guess. Yeah,
Well,
I
I mean,
guess.
at the end of the day, there's always things you can do differently. Like, you can still take chord progressions, the very basic chord progressions, and sing something different over them that no one's heard. But realistically, like, I think Rob Zombie says, Black Sabbath wrote all the good riffs, is what he says. Yeah, it just seems like a lot of stuff, you really might just be like too deep into. But when it
Maybe
comes to
you're right.
movies, I think there's no excuse because movies, to me, film is the most full form of art we have, right? Like it's audio, it's music, it's you're seeing something. Whereas music is just you're listening to something. Classical art is just you're looking at something. With film, dude, there's still a million things you could do with movies.
Right. I mean, maybe there's still is shit we could do with music too. Like, I don't know. I use the example of like Rush. Like Rush is so fucking unique in their music style. Like nobody sounds like Geddy Lee. Nobody drums like Neil Peart. And like they came out and it was like, what the fuck is this? Like, is there a Rush sitting out there ready to be born in today's music? I don't know. Some kind of thing like that. Could there be? I don't know. I hope so, but I don't think so.
The thing with music is I still do find music today that I like. It's very rare, but there's a band called
Very rare. Yeah.
Static Dress from England that I really fucking like. They put out an album like a year or two ago that's a 10 out of 10 album. I love it. There's a band called Quarters of Change, terrible band name, but they've got a really good song called T Love. Fizz, yeah, the millennial thing, that is true. My biggest thing about millennials is the way that we all think we're so young all the time. You get millennials who are in their 30s, like 31, 30, my age, and they're like, oh, we're still young. I'm like, bro, you're almost middle aged. That I almost blame. What's the generation above millennials? Gen X? I almost blame Gen X and boomers because you ever notice how, like, I'm 31, my parents and my grandparents will constantly tell me, oh, no, you're still young. You got your whole life ahead of you. Like, bro, I'm in my 30s. Like,
You're
in no
middle
means.
aged almost.
Like, dude, you guys were married when you were 18. Like, stop telling me I'm still young. But I think millennials are like, for some reason, we have a hard time with getting old. Like, so many people my age are doing this whole. I'm 30. There's this girl that I have a crush on that just turned 31, and she's posting about how she just turned 30 fun. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my god, that's so corny.
But yeah, no, it does seem like we're stuck. There's a counter article I won't get into right now, but there is a counter article I found that says, "No, the culture's not stuck. You guys are just old," basically, which I'll give a little bit of credence to that. I'm sure every generation thinks the newer generations suck, but I think it's like kind of undeniable. I mean, especially like I said, you look at movies. We are stuck, dude. Every movie we get is the same fucking movie. It's a superhero movie. It's a remake. It's a sequel. All the music now is not even written by like instruments. It's all written by 12. You need 12 guys to write one song on a computer for some reason nowadays, and it's yeah, it's just weird. Generation man.
You were bad with the comments tonight. You're normally on top of them.
I know. I was talking a lot. Proton Max and Fizz, when they both get going, they double team the comments pretty well.
They
I
double
try to,
teamed like Bonnie Blue. They Bonnie Blued the comments.
yeah, fucking put Bonnie Blue put the comments in a glass box and just fucked them.
I gotta get
Generation
out of
X, I
here.
think, is cool. All right, well, I was gonna say I'm debating whether I'll stay on or not, but yeah, I don't know. I might stay on. I might stay on for a few minutes. I'll let you get out of here.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you having me on, dude. And I'll definitely come back on. It won't be as frequently, but if you got some good topics, bro, run it by me and I'll come on. I mean, now that I got a lot more time on my hands, so
Dude, yeah, I'm literally always down for you to come on. So
cool, man. Well, it was good seeing y'all, and have a good night. Later.
all right. Uh, it's hot as fuck. I am gonna get off here pretty soon, but I figured I'd stick around for a few more minutes. Um, I feel like I did have like 1 or 2 more topics that I had kind of stashed away for no reason, but I don't think I do. Fizz, tomorrow night, if you're around, you'll probably hate the stream. I'm doing the ranking of Sydney Sweeney pictures. I have like 85 pictures of Sydney Sweeney that I'm just gonna pull up on screen, and I'll just be putting them in a tier, you know, S tier, A tier, B tier, D tier. The challenge is gonna be not putting them all in S tier, you know, because it's Sydney Sweeney, but I'm gonna try my best to rank them all fairly. Dude, what is that fucking noise? Oh, it's my fan. Yeah, WWE. Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon should come back and not do creative stuff because he definitely lost it creatively. But he should come back and save it as far as like business wise. Yeah, no, Fizz, you're all good. Oh yeah, the Sydney Sweeney soap. Dude, there's no bath water in that soap. There's even when you look at the ingredients of that soap, there's one ingredient called like something narrative, or like they basically say that there's none of her bath water in it. Let me see Sydney Sweeney bathwater ingredients. Yeah, so one of the ingredients says like, oh no, I feel stupid. I did not find it. It says other natural elements. There's some ingredient in there that basically says like it's fake. Like, God, I wish I could fucking find it. Narrative element. That's what it is. There's an ingredient called narrative element. And well, a narrative is like part of a storyline, like part of a plot. I don't know. To me, they're like, what the fuck is narrative element? But yeah, so I don't think her bathwater is actually in it. But that's all I'm gonna be doing tomorrow. I'll just rank her pictures. I'm almost worried that I have too many. Like in my mind, I'll be on for an hour. But like I said, I have 85 pictures, so I might be on. But I'm sure there are a lot of pictures that I'll just be like not have a lot to say about them. Some of the pictures I have a lot to say about them. You know, a lot of them I don't. So I'm sure it'll go by pretty quick. In the future, if I ever do the idea again, you know, like I said on the Instagram, I would do Jenna Ortega or Sabrina Carpenter. I would like to do old actresses. You know, it'd be cool to do like a Carolyn Monroe or a Claudia Jennings, you know, on the poster behind me. But there's not as many easily available pictures of those like 1970s actresses. Conversation about that concept last night with my girlfriend. What concept? Selling bathwater or ranking pictures of girls? I'm terrible at this. I was probably just talking about what you were talking about. No, I already don't remember. One of the problems with millennials in the later generations. Whatever it is, the millennials are the worst, I swear. Are you talking about the people being afraid to get old? Oh. Yeah, well, millennials do that with politics a lot specifically. I notice millennials basically operate under the idea that, well, everyone before us did things this way and believed in this thing, but they're all wrong, right? Like millennials will straight up tell every person that came before us that they were wrong about like things like gender and things like marriage and things like how taxes work. And it's like, well, no, things have worked a certain way for a long time for a fucking reason. There was a TikTok, some political commentator I saw was talking about it, and he was saying this TikToker was this girl, she got herself sterilized, right? She sterilized herself so she cannot get pregnant. And she threw herself a little celebration, which by the way was just her filming a TikTok of her twirling around in a dress at the park, which is not a celebration. But she basically said, she's like, I was thinking, and I noticed that for all of time, women always celebrate when they get pregnant, but no one ever celebrates when they get sterilized. And it's like, well, yeah, because that's a weird, like, you're not doing anything. Like, of course, they're going to celebrate having a baby because that's like a big accomplishment. But so much of millennials' ideas is just, I'm going to do this thing because people have done things another way for all of history. So I'm just going to do it differently now just because. And it's this weird idea. that like all the generations before us did everything wrong for all of history, and we now suddenly have it figured out. Yeah, that is true. That is a good point. That when you're, dude, I feel like you can hear that on the mic, and it's killing me. Someone's got to tell me if they can hear that. It sounds like it's my fan trying. It's out of water, so it's trying to suck up water, but there's no water, so you can hear it like making almost like a gurgling noise. It's actually kind of gross. It's kind of grossing me out. But yeah, no, I definitely, I guess, kind of get what you're saying. I think, and it does seem to start with millennials that they don't appreciate anything that past generations have done, or any kind of tradition or. Okay, cool, cool, we're good. Cannot hear a fan. I'm gonna get off here soon, anyways. I'm sweating completely. It's basically a swamp cooler. It's a really small fan. You put water in it. It blows cold air. It doesn't work very well. I can't turn it up too much because you can hear it on the mic if it's up all the way, so it sucks. It doesn't really do anything. Oh yeah, dude, flat screen TVs were awesome when they came out. Remember the giant TV that you just set down on the floor and like it was the speaker was the whole bottom part and then the top half was the flat screen and it was like up to your fucking chest. Fizz, I actually think that the best era for technology was when I was in high school. We had cell phones, but all the cell phones did was call and text. Right? There was internet, it was at home, but once you left the house, you were not on the internet. If you were on your phone, you were calling somebody or you were texting them. And like, and by the way, no PC in the rooms. That's the thing. If you have a computer at home, that's fine, but it belongs in a room that's like shared with the rest of your family. That's how it should be too. But yeah, cell phones should just be for calling and texting. And then when back then when your phone died too, nobody cared. It was not a big deal. People, my phone died all the time. All the time. Yeah, my buddy had one of the big TVs that sat on the floor. That was like the coolest TV. We found it on the side of the road too for free. We put it in the back of my truck and he like took it to his house. Now it's his TV for like years. No, no one can explain how anything works. My grandpa was telling me about how back in the day when you used to buy things, they always came with a repair kit. He's like, yeah, when you bought a refrigerator or a washing machine, it came with a kit, like with tools that was used to fix that thing, whatever may go wrong with it. Everything came with a like how to repair this thing, kind of a kit attached to it. Did a 50-inch CRT. Yeah, that'd be awesome actually. CRTVs are I think are awesome. I would much rather, I watch movies all the time. I would much rather have like an old TV, and a VHS collection is just so expensive now. I just have a normal smart TV with, Blu-rays and DVDs just because it's easy. It sucks that as things get older, they get more expensive and harder to attain basically, which is weird. Usually as things get older, they get cheaper, but then after enough time passes, they become more expensive because they become retro or vintage or whatever. Oh yeah, it's got to be 400 pounds. That shit probably weighed as much as fucking Mark Henry, 50-inch CRT. Probably need Mark Henry to lift that fucking thing. All right, I'm sweating. I'm sweating real bad. I gotta go. I gotta go. Get in your last comments about CRT TVs. I don't think I know the difference between a monitor and a TV, but I bet I can Google it before you explain it real quick. Actually, that's not fair. I can't see the screen right now, so even if you explain it before I Google it, I won't see it until... Okay, yeah, you beat me to it. Built-in speakers. My monitor on my computer right here doesn't have built-in speakers. Which is kind of annoying. I wish it did, but I do have to use the headphones for it. Protomax could stream, see you tomorrow. Yeah, Protomax, I'm just doing the Sydney Sweeney thing. I might stream later in the week too, I don't know. But either way, tomorrow's the Sydney Sweeney thing. I'm hoping for a good algorithm on that one, honestly, just because she's popular. Yeah, Fizz, thanks for hanging out all night. I'm glad we had Jim Shorts on. That was a good time. Fizz, he used to be on the channel all the time. He just kind of got busy with some stuff and then couldn't make it for a long time. But yeah, hopefully I can get him back on in the near future again, because yeah, I always like having someone. It's way better to have another person to stream with. I seriously need to find like a permanent partner or something. But yeah, fucking it, right on. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow. Whoever makes it makes it. Whoever doesn't. And yeah, until then.
And we're all here today to groove and have a beautiful time together, and that it's only the beginning. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk. Sometimes I think I'm drunk and then I realize I am drunk.